Hello, welcome to the Bonnet Series. At the Bonnet Series, this is where we connect astrology with the vibe in the sky, and we do it in a very laid-back situation. Actually, this is not a series, but I could make it a series, okay? It is actually MLK weekend, and I'm sitting here in my pajamas, and I didn't feel like getting dressed, okay? So, there we go. 3-day weekend, kids are home. When the kids are home, it just makes me lazy. Anyway, all right. So here we are. We're here to talk about Trump. And we're going to talk about the predictions for Trump in January. For the rest of January, I am filming this January 18th. It shall go up on the 18th. And we're going to talk about the rest of the rest of January to February. So here is the timeline here. The timeline, we have Mars, January 23rd. Mars enters Aquarius. And then Venus is in Aquarius too. We'll talk about that a little bit later and how that affects him. January 25th. Saturn in Pisces is going to do some stuff. It's going to quincunx. I'm not sure if I put that on the timeline, but the 27th, Neptune enters Aries in his 9th house. We'll talk about that. February 6th. All these dates are very important. This is what I'm telling you, okay? Now, it may not happen exactly that date, but around that time, you're going to get some strong stuff. Now, Neptune entering Aries, the 27th, it will happen that exact date. Something important for us, the collective, or just for Trump. Not just for Trump, but for Trump as well. February 6th, Saturn turns 29 degrees. That's very intense, okay? February 9th, Venus will then turn 29 degrees in Aquarius, and I will be in the 7th house on the 14th of February. This is a really big date. Don't forget this. Saturn will enter Aries, and it will sit next to Neptune in Aries. This is a big date for all of us at 0 degrees. We'll talk about that. USA's chart. Let me pull that up. I'll show it to you guys real quick. I'm not looking at it, but I'm going to tell you. USA's chart has Mars. Also, it comes close to the moon that is in USA's chart in Aquarius. That is, moon in Aquarius represents the people, us. I am in USA. And Neptune and Saturn are conjunct, and it sits on USA's IC. Also, there's an eclipse happening February 17th, and it sits next to the moon of USA, which is the people, eclipsing people out of the life, the comfort, the emotions, the stability, the safety. It sits at 28 degrees. 28 is dealing with communities, is dealing with siblings, is dealing with neighborhoods, dealing with communication. So let's see what happens with that. Saturn is the ruler of this eclipse, and that ruler at the same time will be in USA's fifth house of leadership, self-expression, the pride of America. So let's see how that affects America. This eclipse is not the exact date, but there are going to be strong themes. I'll talk about that in another video. I want to give you a warning. Back to Trump is going to be sitting on his descendant, which is at 29 degrees. So it's very close to his descendant, and that means it squares his ascendant, and it does with all the other 4 points in his chart. His descendant is in Leo, so that's a big thing. Now, as far as Israel, I looked at Israel's chart, and I also looked at the eclipse too. It opposes their Mars in Leo, and in their 11th house, it represents legislation, governing bodies, allies, coalitions, social movements, any type of groups, networks. Pluto is in their 5th house, and the 5th house is the house of leadership, spotlight, again, national pride, maybe even the next generation, the crown, the leader, and taking risks. So the eclipse will be affecting them in those following points. It's probably already affecting them because you're talking about February. We could be already feeling this. February 19th, back to the timeline, is we have Pisces season, and Pisces, there'll be a stallion in the 8th house for Trump, and it will quincunx his Pluto in Leo, and later quincunx his Mars, which is conjunct his AC, his ascendant. That's all about him solo. So we'll see how that is, and his leadership and his ego. That is what we have for the timeline. Let me just tell you the major transits that we have for just the vibe in the sky, okay? Uranus is retrograding in Taurus. That's in his 10th house, and it squares his ascendant. That's currently happening now. He's been feeling that for a good minute. That same energy was happening when he got shot by the neck. Jupiter is retrograding, and Taurus rules the neck, by the way. Jupiter is retrograding in Cancer, and that's in his 12th house. Jupiter is the reason why he won the election. I strongly believe that. He was born in the daytime. Jupiter was sitting on the sun because it was in Gemini at the time, and it's a very benefic planet for people who are born in the daytime. With that said, Jupiter is retrograding, and it's in his 12th house, and it's sitting on top of his Saturn and Venus, which is conjunct in the sign Cancer. We'll talk about that. Neptune and Saturn are conjunct in Pisces that's the collective vibe in the sky. It is in his 8th house. So overall, with that Uranus squaring his ascendant, that's a lot of issues with public image. Him shocking the world. I don't know if it was a shock. Him flicking off a person, doing things that's very out of the blue, out of the cuff, very surprising. I mean, Trump is like that already. He does have Uranus sitting very close to his sun. That is something that you can expect the unexpected with that. Now, but Uranus in the sky in the sign Taurus, sudden uncontrollable shifts of how he's perceived, unpredictable events that disrupt his ability to perform with confidence and dominance, because you're dealing with that Leo energy. There's challenge with authority with him. It may feel personal because you are talking about only him, that first house. Also, this is squaring things dealing with his emotions. I mean, not his emotions, with his relationship, because it squares the 7th house. It opposes his home and his safety and his past. So he has all these surprising elements and things that are very shocking, and freedom energy, doing things on its own, or unpredictable events happening. They're very traditional. They're very old school. They deal with things that he values. Doesn't get along with him and his ego. One, it doesn't get along with his relationships, and that could be allies. That could be like Israel leaders or something like that. Or that could be J.D. Vance and his wife. And also, it doesn't work with his home life. There's an opposition there. Just be aware of that. That's what he has. This hits his identity as a leader. It hits his partnerships and his equilibrium, his harmony and balance. And it opposes at the same time his home life and his past. Now, Jupiter is retrograding in Cancer. I talked about that earlier. It's sitting on top of that Saturn, and it's retrograding. It's sitting close to Saturn and Venus. These are things that are in 12th house. 12th house is very hidden situations. Again, Jupiter is very positive, but because it's retrograding, I think it's not that positive, right? It's not working as it should. There's things that, when that happens, there's things that are expanding. 12th house represents secrets, isolations, institutions, undoing. Could represent secret societies. It could represent conspiracy theories. Saturn and Venus, you have that contracts, alliances, money, loyalty, women, relationships with women, and values. Also that harmony, and it could be disharmony. Very serious about harmony and restrictions with harmony. Anyway, I wonder if that's why he's had an interview in the past that he's never done alcohol or drugs. That Saturn sitting there, I wonder if that's why. Anyway, also this could represent a lot of legal and financial issues or consequences. So something that's dealing with protection as well, isolation, because you're dealing at 12th house, things that are very strict, restrictive, strained energy. Also too, this could be something dealing with alliances. Again, financial pressure, and that alliances is also, remember, he has a problem with the 7th house. So he currently has those things going on. They're behind the scenes. We can't see it. The 12th house also is secret enemies. So there's a huge thing with secret enemies for him. I'm looking at his chart. The date that I have is January 30th, and then that's a Cancer moon sitting there. So yeah, very emotional around that time during the end of the month as well. That Saturn and Neptune conjunct in his 8th house currently. And as these 2 months go by, those two planets will leave the 8th house, but while it's there and it'll be hitting 29 degrees, you are talking about things that are dealing with shared resources and finances, taxes, debt, liabilities, anything dealing with legal entanglements, a lot of secrets. Again, conspiracy theories, things that are very mysterious and things that are very taboo. This is that Jeffrey Epstein energy. What's hidden or protected might be facing some reality. Saturn is the planet of responsibility and karma, and it will be hitting 29 degrees, so we'll see how that goes. And then Neptune, in the sign Pisces, is dealing with the illusions and the secrets. So maybe that fog or that stuff that's very confusing, things that are hidden, again, Jeffrey Epstein, maybe those things will be exposed. This is also the house of psychology. So therapy and being serious about that, retreating, things that are very spiritual and denial about, all that will be happening. That's what you have for the vibe in the sky. Let's get into January itself. January is Capricorn season, and during Capricorn season, you are going to have Mars, Mercury, Sun. You have the new moon that just happened. All that happened in the 6th house. All these Capricorn energies are opposing the energies in the 12th house for him, his personal planets. So we'll get into that. Venus and Pluto in Aquarius, they're in the 7th house currently. The 7th house represents your open enemies and alliances. Again, I'm just going to point out Israel. I'm going to point out Iran, Venezuela. That's what that represents. Also, it represents J.D. Vance. It also represents his wife. Is her name Ivanka? I get the wife and her daughter's name mixed up, and I apologize for that. It's not to be disrespectful. It's just that I don't care enough. Now, at the same time, they trine. I was talking about Pluto. In my notes, I have Neptune. I'm sorry. So Pluto and in Aquarius in the month of January in that 7th house goes with all the stuff that's in his 3rd house. That Neptune, Chiron, and that Chiron is conjunct Jupiter. So this is things dealing with communication. We'll get into that. Now, the main thing of January is going to be a lot of details because you're talking about a lot of things happening in that 6th house. You have day-to-day work, you have staff, you have operational issues, a lot of things with messaging. It's on the 6th and 12th house. So the 6th house represents healing. It also represents servitude, like slavery, work and labor. And then sacrificing, they both represent sacrificing. And again, a lot of loss, forgiveness, endings, issues with that. So the work environment, health, employees, staff, subordinates, daily systems and routine, compliance, procedures. Mercury is kind of in charge of that energy and service. So all this thing will be big in January. Day-to-day operations is what he's dealing with now. Anything dealing with administrative or staff issues or pressure or work-related stress. Again, his health could be a big issue right now. Don't know, but it could be. Just letting you know, it's opposing the stuff in the 12th house. So a lot of healing and releasing is probably what he needs to do. Because Jupiter is opposing the stuff in Capricorn. Again, this is activating all those things that are hidden enemies, isolation. Things are working against him, but he's quiet about it. He's not letting anyone know. And this opposition could be draining stuff, and it could be affecting his health. One, and we cannot see it, or he could be exhausted, or he's not working with his coworkers very well. These are things that I feel like you don't need to be a psychic or an astrologer to know, because it's the president and also it's Trump. But you do have that Saturn and Venus sitting there in that 12th house. That represents cold alliances. That represents a lot of transactional things, but they're loyal, but there's a transaction. Saturn to me is very gold digging kind of energy. Venus represents women, values, finances, burdens are added to that with that Saturn energy. Support that comes with conditions. Those are the overall themes you get, but they're in the 12th house so you can't see it, or there is some type of 12th house also represents prison. So those things are dealing with something he's locked in a prison energy. With that Capricorn on the other side, there is strain on relationships, allies. The details are not really clear, are not very precise. Even being accountable when it comes to things far as work in a day-to-day life is not, or maybe he's isolated of some sort. Now, with that Venus and Pluto in the 7th house and towards the end of January, that is a lot of things, again, dealing with his open enemies and his adversaries. This is also lawsuits. The 7th house represents a lot of things dealing with the law. Enemies acting very strategic, not emotional. Now, anything dealing with Pluto. Now, as we move into Aquarius season, when all these planets from Capricorn, from that 6th house, those themes will change for all the other things when it comes to law, when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to open enemies. This is when it gets bigger far as war for us. So anyway, but because Pluto is there, and Pluto, whatever it touches, it intensifies. And then when Mars enters Aquarius, which I see will enter Aquarius, let me get the exact date here. It enters Aquarius on the 23rd of January. Before that, on the 28th, it'll be in 29 degrees. So we'll get the logistics on war there. Once it enters 7th house, then it will really be about war. Be aware of that. That is definitely to come, especially when you have Neptune and Saturn soon going to be in the sign Aries at 0 degrees. These things are working really good, partnerships and his open enemies. So everyone who I named as his open enemy, anyone who you know as Trump's open enemy, when these planets all enter Aquarius, they trine Neptune, Chiron, and Jupiter. I would think that means more for them. Now, for Trump, personally, the harmony and the balance might get better. For them, that 3rd house energy is about media, messaging, information flow, controlling the narrative kind of energy. And I think his opponents, J.D. Vance, the wife, she even comes out with a movie, so you can see that in this 7th house energy. If it trines Neptune and Libra, that Neptune and Libra represents film and beauty. You have that energy all working out for the other person, not necessarily for Trump. The 7th house in anyone's chart represents the other person. Just know there's intensity, there's a transfer in power, there's a rebirth of someone at the same time. Powerful, very intense with power. is what we're going to get when all those planets move into Aquarius season. Pluto is very heavy when it comes to war, when you have Mars entering the building too. So just know that. And you have the Sun, Venus, Mars, all that will be in that 7th house. All this will be opposing Trump's, which is his ego, which is him. So it will be trining that 3rd house. It will be opposing his Pluto of power and intensity, his ego, the way he fights. So this Aquarius season doesn't really work for Trump. And then you have Pluto added to the dynamics. It makes it very intense as well. Okay. And then on top of that, it doesn't work with his public image, and it doesn't work for his home life or the things that make him feel safe at home. Enemies gain visibility, power struggles move into their open, relationships becomes more coercive, maybe become more ultimatums because that Pluto is very intense and it's obsessed with power. Opponents act with strategy, not with emotion. Aquarius energy is very cold. A lot of AI with the opponents, a lot of intelligence with the opponents, a lot of highly communicative energy too. Pluto is very secretive, so it likes to move in mystery. And also to Aquarius, it's a fixed sign, so very stubborn when it comes to thought for the opponent. Pluto in Leo, that's Trump, right? That's his personal power. He commands a presence. He likes to have charisma and control and leadership. And that Aquarius energy is going to question that. One, going to question his personal dominance. Identity issues also could be a thing because you're dealing with the 7th house going against that 1st house as well. A transformation of some sort or intensity is not going to work with him. A lot of aggression too when you get that Mars entering the building. Now these planets will quincunx his energy in the 12th house. Things are going to get uncomfortable, especially when it comes to messaging because he has Mercury in that 12th house. A lot of misfires. This happens around exactly January 23rd. So necessarily in February, but it will be Aquarius season. A lot of private thinking, legal strategies, behind the scene communication, but very misaligned with that quincunx. Things are going to be said that's very uncomfortable. If we see it, it will be dealing with something from the past that's dealing with secrets, that's dealing with drugs, addiction, or something that needs to be released or the end of something. Relationships and communication will be strained. Messaging is inconsistent. Damage control kind of energy makes things very uncomfortable. January 27th, Saturn and Neptune will quincunx exactly Mars and his ascendant. Let me see, 8th house. Yes, that Mars and ascendant at 29 degrees when they both hit 29 degrees. Now you're talking about shared resources, control. Neptune is illusions. There's dissolved illusions. There's your dream coming true. There is secret kind of energy. And now it's going to feel very uncomfortable and misaligned with his drive in a way he fights. So that happens when it hits 29 degrees. And let me see, 29 degrees. Neptune is in 29 degrees right now. So it's currently happening as I'm filming this, but then when Saturn hits 29 degrees, it's February 4th, then you start to see the restriction or burdens or delays, something that is a karma of some sort. And it could be something dealing with that Jeffrey Epstein energy is not aligned with the way he fights and his aggression, okay? Mars enters Aquarius. Again, I talked about that, and it will be sitting next to Pluto. That's on the 23rd. That's intensity. That's the same with that Neptune feels uncomfortable too. So the 23rd is a very important date. Let's see what happens. You're talking about conflict, force, escalation. This could be dealing with legal, like, court time. Mars is very aggressive. Now it's in a sign Aquarius, so it's cold. It's intellectual. It's dealing with communication. Airplanes could be a theme as well. Very like 9/11. I don't mean to say that, but that's what that could represent too. And it works with 3rd house. So a lot of messaging, media, documentation, testimony. I talked about the 8th house and that Saturn and secrets hit. Things are very taboo as well. Okay. So I didn't mention this enough, but on the 27th, that's when you have Neptune entering Aries in the 9th house. Now, the 9th house represents law. It represents higher beliefs. It represents foreign affairs. Could also represent court too. The 7th and 9th house represent court and legal things. Now there's illusions added to it, confusion around legal philosophy, things that are dealing with faith, anything dealing with spirituality, a fake leader like a false prophet. I have a whole video on Neptune and Aries alone. Now it's entering his 9th house. The 9th house for a lot of leaders is dealing with global affairs. So let's see the illusions around the global affairs. And you're talking about Aries. Aries represents war. Aries represents impulsivity. Aries represents a leader, selfishness first, moving fast, brave energy. But it's all a facade. Okay. Now, as we end February 3rd, the point of no return. Things are very critical because we keep having 0 degrees, 29 degrees. January and February are very strong, not just for Trump, but for the collective. And February 6th, you have that Saturn entering at 29 degrees. You have Mercury entering 29 degrees in Aquarius. You have Venus entering 29 degrees in Aquarius. So February 6th is a very big day. Write that down. On the 14th, we have, that's when Saturn enters Aries and junks Neptune. Again, that's a big day. And then we have the eclipse that happens February 17th in Aquarius. I talked about that. And then on the 19th, we enter Pisces season. Now, between the 6th and the 9th, 29 degrees is an anoretic degree. There's a lot of pressure. There is intensity to move fast, hurry up, now or never kind of things. Like we have to close out. Now, the 8th house is where it's in 29 degrees. And it could be a final thing with anything dealing with taxes or debt for Trump. Anything dealing with something hidden or taboo. The restriction of the Jeffrey Epstein's or the secrets of that. So get ready to see what this is also dealing with, finalizing those consequences and those restrictions, and there's no more delay. So that's what you have. Now Mercury at 29 degrees, and that's in its 7th house. Those are crises, again, endings, right, and forced decisions. And now you have Mercury, so in Aquarius. So final agreements or statements, something legal has to be closed out, conversations that cannot be like, we're not walking it back. No, end it now. There's a lot of clarifications that be happening too. And when I think of Mercury at 29 degrees, it moves fast, especially in Aquarius. It moves really, really fast. So just think of a lot of things online, Twitter, social media, all that happens. And there's going to be some strongness there. Also, too, when Mercury is conjunct Pluto, around now, once Mercury enters Aquarius, which is going to be January 20th, this is 18th, you're going to see a lot of stuff on social media. So get ready for that. And it's going to be with Israel, Iran, Venezuela, the open enemies, okay? JD Vance and the wife. Now, on February 9th, Venus will enter 29 degrees, and that would be in the sign Aquarius. Now, again, this is alliances. This is dealing with all the people I talked about, relationships, even money. So a lot of those will be ending, rushing, now or never, being very diplomatic. Where's the charm? Where the negotiations might be closing out. Public allies maybe hesitate or withdraw from something. Open enemies. Let's see the energy that they give around February 29th. Now, February 14th, this is the huge date. Major shift, right? Because those planets are now moving. Neptune and Saturn are moving into 0 degrees. And I'm sorry if I'm skipping all over the place. I tried to do January, February, but then I also tried to do Capricorn season, Aquarius season, and it's kind of the same. But I just want you to understand the 0 degrees is a big degree. Just like the 29 degrees, there's new rules. There's a new start in Saturn and in Neptune. So 0 degrees is like also intense. It's that pure of its sign. Could bring a shock of something or a newness something. There's confrontation. There's newness. There's rebirth. 9th house is dealing with law, court, belief system. So let's get ready for that. Now, these things will be squaring his 12th house, and especially that Mercury. Once it hits the 0 degrees, his Mercury is in 8 degrees. So it's a wide square, but we will be feeling it. So Trump will. And these are things that are dealing with private conversations that are failing, legal messaging, misfire, secrets become liabilities. Yeah, we'll see, especially when it becomes Aries season. Messages are the secrets that he has coming up for him. Now, we have a solar annual eclipse, and that's going to reset everything. And that eclipse is happening in his 7th house. So it may not affect Trump. It will affect Trump. Sure, but more about the open enemies. This could also be like death of a leader as well. Now, then we have Pisces season, and then when all these planets enter his 8th house, the planets go from the 7th house to the 8th house. Again, this is a lot back to the Jeffrey Epstein's and the secrets of things. But this is something new too that could be very secretive and very mysterious. And the sun will be there, and it will be highlighting all the things that he doesn't want us to see. So get ready for Pisces season. It'll quincunx What is it? Quincunx. Quincunx is his energy. So there's going to be some secrets we see around Pisces energy. And let's see, he may lose some control. Major secrets, mystery, because you have Pluto in that first house too, okay? I just want to lastly close things out until we have a lunar total eclipse. I haven't done any video on the eclipse, but March 3rd, we have a lunar total eclipse. I talked about Iran. Did I talk about it earlier? But they have a lunar eclipse. It's going to conjunct their Saturn retrograding in Virgo at 12 degrees in their 6th house. This could be a death, again, of a leader or something. Or this could be something dealing with army, police. 6th house represents that. Any type of civil service employees. Saturn there represents rigid discipline and control, and that eclipse could things out. We could probably already be feeling that right now. I don't know what's going on in Iran. I know it's big things happening, but it's affecting more of the people, the working class, if anything. Illness also too is what that 6th house represents. So let's see if the water supply, the food, the medical infrastructure, there may be something changing with that too. Labor strikes, we already know that that's happening. At the same time, labor is a big thing. So cutting off work. Removal of old guard. Trump with that lunar eclipse happening in March. A lunar eclipse is a full moon, so it's a lot of emotions. It could be highlighting something. There could be a culmination, even a celebration. Something's in the limelight or something's being released. Okay, you reap what you kind of sow. Energy is what you get with this, and it's in Pisces. It's going to conjunct Mercury retrograding in Pisces, and it's in Virgo. Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse. It's retrograding in Pisces. Again, conspiracy theories. And now Pisces energy in Trump's 8th house. Mercury will be squaring his north node in Gemini, conjunct his sun in Uranus. So something unexpected that's surprising, something for his destiny and his future. Mars is going to be at 0 degrees. That's representing war in secret. Again, when you have Mercury in Pisces, could represent a death. I just want to say that an ending, okay? An ending of something, okay? Or releasing. Now, Jupiter is a traditional ruler. That is retrograding too. That would be in Trump's 12th house, which also is the same energy of ending, releasing, forgiving, death as well. So let's see what happens. It's not hitting of his personal planets other than this north node, which is conjunct his sun. I think that's a big deal. We'll see. It's not the exact degree, but we'll see how that plays out because it's at 28 degrees and his sun and it's 22 degrees. But let's see how that plays out for him. Let me pull some cards like I always like to do in regards to the government and Trump. Let's see what we have for Trump for the rest of the month. A lot of movement. We have the 8 of Wands. Productivity. Things are moving very fast. What else in January? A transition. Okay, but he's not forgetting anything. He is bringing all of those words and speeches with him, but he's moving on. It does represent calm waters. Now, in February for Trump, we have the King of Wands, someone who's ready to fight. Very assertive, a strong leader, very Leo energy. So like a leader, very bold, daring, control, not afraid of conflict of any way. And also we have the Empress, right? So this could represent his wife. He could also be giving birth to something. The Empress also represents giving birth, being comfortable, a lot of energy with that Venus energy. So being creative, a lot of self-care, maybe taking care of himself more than anything. Also, just fertility. Now I want to pull a card for Iran. I talked about Iran. We have 9 of Wands. Iran is going to stay strong. They're not going to give up. Very fierce energy, perseverance, resilience. There's an energy of testing their faith. Could be tired though, Iran. Okay. That's Iran. And then for Israel, we'll pull a card for it. We have the Queen of Wands. Fighting. Little feminine. Okay. Fighting with the spirituality or the religion. But they feel confident. Feel very optimistic in January and in February. Who else would I want to talk about? Venezuela. Venezuela is fighting. They are, look at that. They are fighting. So not the best, but they're going to stay strong. They're going to protect their territory. They're not going to give up. Yeah. And overall, for us, the collective, we have the 10 of Swords. It's not the best for us. There is an end of some type of journey. There's a message too. You see there's a Gemini energy with this. There's a message, but this is a powerful ending. We feel like we're being stabbed in the back. A lot of loss for the people, a lot of betrayal, exhaustion, failure. And also too, in the original card, there is water. So there's emotions and also tangible evidence of things. But this is a collapse and betrayal card. But it does represent 10. 10 represents new beginnings and endings and infinite possibilities as well. Not the best for us. What can we do about that? I don't like to leave it in a negativity. We have the Page of Swords. And what we can do about that is research, learn new things, understand the truth, communicate, be vigilant, be alert for knowledge, have thirst for knowledge, do all messages. All right. That is what I have for you guys. If you guys have any questions, if you guys enjoyed the bonnet series, put a thumbs up. A thumbs up. Is it doing it? Sometimes it doesn't do it. There we go. Put a thumbs up, you guys. I did talk about some very intense topics, and I know I moved fast, but I tried to talk about it all. I want to get it out for you guys. I do weekly videos on Mondays. I forgot to say, if you love astrology, you love this, you love my content, click the link down below. I have a free newsletter. You can get this content every week. It helps me keep in touch with you if they choose to counsel me on any platform. So that helps me out. That helps me stay in touch with you. Also, you get the weekly transits every week for free. Also, too, I have stuff behind the paywall. I can or kitchen talk freely there. And the most recent thing I did, Charlie Kirk's wife chart. Read her chart. We talked about her. A lot of things I do behind the paywall. Kanye, NASA chart reading, a lot of stuff. All right, guys, want more? You know what to do. I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.